What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Ask A CISSP podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Williams. So this is a companion podcast to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk to those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. And with me today, I have one of those people. So I have Dr. Joseph J. Burt-Miller Jr., who reached out, said he wanted to, talk to us, do a little collaboration, maybe some synergy with some future projects that he has coming up. But thank you for reaching out to us for the show. And I just want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background, your experience, and then we'll go into your cybersecurity origin story and then take off from there. So without further ado, I'll give it to you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, my name is Dr. Joseph J. Burt-Miller Jr. First, I have to say that, I've been following your work for quite a while. Like I said, even when the team had different team members. So yeah, that kind of just goes to show like how long I've been following. But yeah, it's great work, and I knew I just had to get on one day. So
I
this
greatly
day's today.
appreciate that. Yeah, so you're talking about Shannon, Levon, the original crew. So the band is still together. We did not break up. It's
Right.
scheduling conflicts, but everybody's a little busy, right? Got family, friends, all that stuff. So one of these days we'll get Levon back on the show. But I digress.
Good. Good. Cool. Yeah. So just a little bit about myself. I am from Mount Vernon, New York, 1 year in Mount Vernon. Um, Coming up right after, I'd say right after high school, went right into the military. Um, Went right into San Antonio, Texas Air Force. Joined
Or
the
Air
Air Force right
Force.
after the military. Yes,
There it is, air power.
yes. I spent 4 years in the Air Force. Moved around a bit. During that time, I learned my trade was not IT or cyber. Honestly, I don't think cyber was a real thing back then. It was really just IT. Um, I learned HVAC, and that's heat and ventilation, air conditioning. So I learned that trade while I was in. And then after that, after the 4 years, uh, got into the government civil service, and started at the VA hospital in New Jersey. Bounced around a bit. I went to the Midwest in Nebraska. Then came back to the East Coast in Maryland. Worked at the DoD Cybercrime Center, Homeland Security, and currently where I am now with the NSA.
Awesome. So with you bringing up your origins being an HVAC, right? It is surprisingly how adjacent that is to IT and cyber in general, right? You always have Power Pro, you always have HVAC, like they're always an integral part, especially in the military. Like it's out here in the civilian world as well, but in the military where we're deploying, right? Like you get real tight with your HVAC guys because
Yeah.
you need them or the equipment goes bad
Oh,
quick.
oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's awesome. And then I don't know if you remember Shannon's origin story. So he was a jet mechanic. So
Right.
again, right, like there's a lot of different avenues to get over here to doing the IT thing, to doing the cybersecurity thing. So people will always be surprised that a lot of us did not just start pure IT, which is awesome because you get the diversity of thought, the diversity of culture, all that good stuff. So that's exactly what we're here for, right? So that's awesome. So you said that you started to work at the Cyber Crime Center. Like, how'd you get into that uh, career?
Yeah. So, well, my very first position as far as IT is concerned didn't start at the Cybercrime Center. Started at when I was at the VA.
Gotcha.
So yes, while I was at the VA, I was still doing HVAC for about 5 years or so. And during that time, I was studying for my bachelor's and my bachelor's in computer information systems. And I was just really just motivated to transition to move out of it because during that time I was in my 20s. But I was kind of seeing the writing on the wall with, seeing the other guys in the shop coming in with all different types of ailments, limping and stuff like that. And I
Right.
mean, and all, doing HVAC is a great trade. I don't down it at all. I learned a lot. You're learning pretty much three skills in one because not only you learn HVAC, you're learning electrical and plumbing, and especially as a homeowner, that those are great skills to have. That you're able to do a lot of things on your own, and you're very mechanically inclined. Um, but like I said, when I saw like my coworkers, like I said, all these different type of ailments, that just really pushed me to say I need to move out of this. And
Right.
so I'm studying and studying every day. It was to the point where my supervisor, he was calling me professor because I would come to work with my book bag on and studying during lunch breaks and everything like that because I was just that motivated. So, and also I was um, applying for IT open IT positions at the hospital. It almost got to a point where I almost gave up, honestly, because uh, it took me a while to get in. I did feel a bit deflated, because I was getting quite a few rejections, and I started questioning myself, like, man, am I, good enough, to do this or not? But once I did finally get through, once I finally broke through, I did appreciate it much more. It made me appreciate it much more. And I was really pretty much ready to go. And I give a lot of credit, honestly, to my first supervisor, who gave me that chance. And all throughout my career, I mean, now he's retired, but as I moved on, each stop I've made, I've always kept up with him, let him know how I'm doing, and the advice he always gave me is something I always kept with me. So and those are the things that I think it really shows. I think that lesson that taught me was that how important it is to have good mentors in your life.
Absolutely.
And sometimes your mentor could be your supervisor. So your boss doesn't have to be like this mean person or
Right.
uh, now, not to say that there aren't some of those out there. There definitely are. I've had my share of good and bad, but I think that's what really makes a leader a true leader is one that can help. You know, not only, of course, you're responsible for the people that are under you, but you also trying to develop them and get them to the next level and really fulfill their potential. So he was definitely the epitome of that, and I've always thanked him and gave him his flowers as I always moved up and within my career because he played a big part in that.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. More than a few of my previous supervisors have either been my mentors while I was, still in uniform, or became that after, I either left that station or I transitioned out, right? So yeah, there's a lot to be said about that, and they don't necessarily have to be doing the things that you do. Like, right, like they don't have to be in cyber. They can just be really good at what they do, and they can give you a good work ethic from
Right.
there. Hopefully you can't hear my dog bark in the background because she would
Uh,
do that in the middle of this interview.
it's all good.
But no, so that's awesome. So uh not to cut you off in the middle of your journey, right? So you're going to school, you're learning the trade while you already had your HVAC trade. You said a lot of those skills did apply and did help you to transition into it. When do you believe you made that jump from IT into cybersecurity, or uh, do you do both?
Right. Yeah. So after I got into IT, working at the VA hospital, spent like a year and a half, then moved Midwest. I worked at the VA hospital out there in Omaha, Nebraska. I was supporting the research department team, providing IT support. And then after that, moved on to the Air Force, Offutt Air Force Base out there, still in Nebraska. There, I served as a system admin. I was there for about a year, and then came back to the East Coast, and that's where I think that's where I moved into the, I guess, more official cybersecurity realm when I
Gotcha.
worked at the DoD Cybercrime Center, in Maryland. Um, Definitely learned a lot. Spent at least a year and a half while I was there. Great people I work with, great leadership. A lot of people who still keep in contact today. Um, then from there, I moved on to DHS, Homeland Security in Virginia. Uh, Now that was a bit different because there I was working doing biometrics. So in the biometrics not necessarily cyber, but still a great. Uh, still that was still a learning process for me. So I did that for about 3 years, and then my last 2 years, I served as an assistant project manager for one of our big projects during my tenure there at DHS. And then from that point on, I I came over to where I am today. I'm currently serving as a cybersecurity engineer with NSA.
That's awesome. So you did mention, starting your bachelor's. Uh, what made you decide to continue to move up that track to where now you have, the title, right, doctor? And so what
Yeah,
made you progress to that next level, or several levels, right? So bachelor's, master's, doctorate.
yeah. Well, with bachelor's, it took me longer than I guess maybe the typical route that someone would take, to 4 years. It took me about six, because I took a break, and I took like a semester off, and then a semester turned to two, and then it
Oh
just kind
yeah,
of compounded into like a
yeah,
year.
yeah. I've been there.
Yeah.
My bachelor's was the longest out of all of
Right.
everything
Yeah.
else. Yeah,
Cause then I was said to myself, like, yo, are you gonna finish this or what? So I went back and finished. Um then I and that's then when I pursued my master's, that's when I was really having that interest within cybersecurity. I think cybersecurity curriculums were starting to become more popular around that period of time. So that's when I pursued my master's in cybersecurity. Um, and during this, then after that, I finished. And when it came to the doctorate, now I was thinking about it, kind of it was weighing on my mind, and I was like, man, I don't know if I should do it or not. And then it was crazy. I spoke with my grandmother, and she gave me very simple but effective advice. She told me, you don't finish anything you don't start. And like I said, very simple, but it resonated with me. I was like, because I feel if I didn't start it, then it was just gonna torment my mind, as time goes on. Cause like, man, if I had started then I would have been done by now, type of thing. So yeah, I went ahead and did it. And a lot of people ask, like why I started, or a thing like that. And are you gonna teach? And a lot of people don't like the answer, but I tell them no. It's really just to see. It was really to prove to myself that I can do it. Um, so it wasn't say like in anticipation for a job, or like I said, to teach. Not now. I definitely do want to teach, but that was not my motivation then.
gotcha.
It was really just to see if I could do it, and so go for that high mark and achieve it.
No, awesome. Yeah, and then again, uh, like you said, simple advice, but it's plain. It's plain, right? Like, yeah, you won't finish it if you never start it. So I think
Right.
that's a lot of people's issue, is just the hesitation or procrastination to, because if I start it, I have to finish it. That's right. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
so if no one hears anything else today, that I think that's a really good word to pass along with it, is if you don't start, you'll never finish. That kind of resonates with me as well. There's some projects I've been looking at, right? 2023 has been a little rough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to line up 2024, but I'm just like, oh man, if I start it, I have to finish it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So there it is. Well, no, that's great. Like, but I'm not going for my doctorate anytime soon. So
Hey
that's not
man,
going to happen.
I don't know,
Maybe
man.
maybe one day, but
That Dr. Williams sounds good, man.
it does. But not in this part of my life. But no, that's awesome. Um, so with that, right? So you made the transition, you pivoted careers, right? You took some of those transferable skills with you, which um I always try to tell people, like, you're not starting over. Like, a lot of people are like, well, if I go to cyber, I have to start over, I have to start from the ground floor to a certain extent, but you always have those transferable skills, right? What are you currently doing? A lot of that applies over here as well, right? Because
Right.
cyber is so big, right? There's many different pockets you can fit in, but above all, if you're already professional somewhere doing something, a lot of those skills will apply with you when you come over. So
Absolutely.
that's definitely good to see as well. So we talked about your background, your experience. Again, go Air Force. I
Yes.
love to see it. I think we had more Air Force people on here than we had civilians so far.
There we go.
To be honest with
There
you,
we go.
it's an awesome network. We talked about kind of some of your motivations, right? You have your mentor who pushed you through the process, and was there for you whenever you have a need or questions, or just something to look at to to build your base, your foundation. Talked about your grandmother with that very sound advice, right? That has led you to do great things. What does the future hold for you? So, like, you have your current job. I know you're trying to probably grow in there and expand, but what's the 50-meter target? And then we'll talk about the 500-meter target down the road. So what's next?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd say, well, number one, I'm always in a state of learning. So I, even with everything that I've done up to this point, I never feel like I'm finished. I never feel like I'm, you know, complete. I'm always looking to learn, always looking to get better. Um, and also at this point in my life too, I've gotten into more mentoring, especially since I got the doctorate. That's when I've really noticed more people were reaching out to me as opposed to me reaching out to people. So that was something new for me, that I had to get used to. But no, it does feel good to give back, to help others, because from my journey coming up, I've had a lot of people to help me along the way. So what type of person would I be to not do the same for others who are trying to make it? So yeah, so I definitely do a lot of mentoring. Um, Also too, we're part of that, as part of that lifelong learner, I'd say, mentality that I have. Part of it, I do have a study hall. It's called the DRJJ BMJ study hall, and I had that on Discord. And I started that back in 2021. No, I'm sorry, started last year, like early last year, January last year. And just quick background: when I was still at DHS, and I just got into my project management role, and I was trying to just learn everything. I was very new, and I was, getting into the meetings and everything like that. And, it just felt like a completely different language to me. And I was like, man, I gotta get smart on this. So I pursued the PMP, and went through the boot camp. And if you know anything about boot camps, it's like 4 or 5 days of like a
Right.
ton of
Fire,
information.
fire hose.
Right. And expect you to take the exam right after. So I was like, well, I was not ready to take the exam. And so I tried studying my own, but just being honest with myself, I was not studying consistently for it to stick. So I knew I needed some sort of structure. And so that's where I formed the study hall. And I did some recruiting on LinkedIn, just asking people, hey, like, I'm studying for the PNP. Anyone else is, could come join. Yeah, and it was like a handful of us who were studying. We were pretty much grinding, man, like every night, studying, taking practice exams together, doing questions. And we were bombing. We were bombing, man. We was getting like 30s and 40s. But we didn't let it discourage us. We kept coming, we kept showing up, kept working, and eventually we saw those grades start, turn from 30s and 40s to 80s and 90s. And it really started to stick. We started learning the frameworks and everything like that. And when it came time to test, we all passed. We all passed above target. And one of the members, he was able to get a job with Amazon, and was able to
Awesome.
move his family out and get a new house. So that's what I'm really proud of, man, because that just shows the byproduct of what, um just just something very small, I'd say, out of necessity, that really changed lives for people. So then I was like, I think there's something here. So I just kept going at it, and we moved on to a next cert, kind of just same formula. Did make adjustments as I learned. Because well, for one, I knew I couldn't do it every night for each cert. So
Right.
I did have to create a schedule, do some time blocking. Um, but it started to work, man. And then what started with like 10 members, um, we now have close to 800 members now, and we're offering like different certs. So like right now, I'm leading the CISSP study group. We have Net Plus. we've done AWS previously. We're getting ready to gear up to do pen tests. One of our members is going to lead in that. I'm very looking forward to that. Yeah, so we have a lot of things going on, and I definitely working on how I could really pivot that into more, I guess, into a like more formal nonprofit business where, you know, I guess I look at the Jason Dion's and Professor Messers of the world, and
Right.
um, I think that's a space me I want to get into. Definitely want to see more of us, people that look like me, look like us, into these spaces. So that's something that really drives me as well, to do that. Um,
That's an awesome initiative. So you said it's your initials that are behind you. It's
oh
basically
yes,
the chat. So DRJJBMJ.
yes sir,
Got you. Okay. So I'll definitely have to get all the links from you so you can put it in the description as well, so people can
sure.
find that resource. That's awesome. That you set it up. Um, so okay. So again, noble accomplishment, right? So you're doing your thing. You've learned a lot. You're taking these transferable skills. You're now a mentor. You're setting people up for success. Um, and then this could potentially turn into an enterprise as well, right? Like you said, a nonprofit. And like, so I said, give me the 50-meter target. So what is the 500-meter target? what's the what's the further down the line that you're kind of formulating now?
Yeah, I am. Well, another project. I'm always looking at different projects. I do love to collaborate, work with people. Um, so part of that too. One of the projects I am working on a podcast of my own.
Okay.
And that's called the Cyber Coffee Hour. And the way that got started, so after, and this is kind of giving those ties back to Mount Vernon, New York. Um, when I was still pursuing my doctorate, I was coming close to the end. I was doing um the recruiting phase for the data collection, and I was looking for, members who I could interview as I was doing a qualitative study. And one of my best friends, growing up, I went to high school with, um, he I had made mention that I was looking for people that I could interview, and then he told me about one of our friends, Alfredo. Uh, he's he does cyber, and he's in the DMV area, and I haven't spoken to him since graduation, so it's been like years. So I was like, so I had no idea what he was doing, where he was, anything like that. And my friend who was pretty much the plug for us, his name is Gibbs. So Gibbs, yeah, he put it out there and said, hold on, let me call Alfredo, because he was still in contact with him. And so we got together. Alfredo, he agreed to be part of the study. And so we spoke, we did the interview, and I had my set questions that I needed to ask him. And I just noticed, man, like, man, this is really going good. And so after we did the required questions I needed to do for the study, I said, hey man, like, this has been good. We should probably do like a podcast or something. And he was with it. He was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, just put a pin on it. After I finish this doctor, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna circle back. So after I finished, after I graduated, I did, kept my word, came back, said, hey, you know, I'm all set. Do you still want to do this podcast thing? And he was like, yeah. So yeah, so we've been working, going through a lot. I mean, we still have things that we're still going through, but we're been doing like a couple like beta episodes just to, you know, make sure everything works out right. But we're
Gotcha.
pretty much there. So yeah, so like now, logo, everything, we have the episodes, a couple beta episodes out right now. But yeah, it's called the Cyber Coffee Hour. And we want to definitely, um I think it was important for us to do that, because for our upbringing coming up, we didn't have a lot of people that look like us doing what we're doing right now. And we always get that question of, like, when we're kids, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Policeman, fireman, nurse, doctor, what
Right.
have you. But it was never, cyber professional was not part of the equation. Um, and also too, just what we were exposed to, that's just not what we could see, something that we
Right.
could aspire to. So that's something I want to change, and I'm very intentional about showing my face, letting people know who I am, and knowing where I'm from too. Because I want people, especially people that coming from where I came from, being able to know that this is an option for them as well. Or places like Mount Vernon, New York. It doesn't have to be specifically for Mount Vernon, but places like that, neighborhoods like that, knowing that this is an option for them, that you shouldn't feel any sort of type of way. You are worthy. You could do this type of work, and don't let anyone try to tell you any different. So that's my big motivation, and as to why we're doing it together, and we want to have that platform for others, those who are up and coming in this field, and we want to make sure that they get some shine and get recognition, and like I said, just let them know that they belong as well.
No, absolutely. And that's a very noble cause. Again, that's the reason for the platform, right? So the other side of the firewall kind of came from that. Again, like being spoiled in the military, right? It's a melting
Mm.
pot. You see people of all nationalities, cultures, everything. And then I started talking to my friends who were on the outside. They were like, that's not the way it goes down out here." They were a very small population. So I started doing my research and I saw like, yeah, only 7% at the time. Now it's 9 and
Mm.
growing, right? We're making waves. So no, it's good to see that there's other initiatives out there as well. Not just talking to you, but then when I talked to Aisha Hollins, Chelsea Pierre, uh, uh, Kenneth. Oh man, I can't remember his name. It caught me at the flat footed. I can't remember his last name. It'll come back to me. But
Yeah.
lots of people in this space where are trying to make a difference. So I greatly applaud that, and I can't wait to see uh, where that takes off, where that goes. I definitely have to, like you said, you have some episodes out there, or is it just between you and your crew right now?
Yeah. So, uh, yeah, there's two. Well, it's like one episode right now,
Okay,
but we did record another one. We're just waiting for that to finish, to finalize publishing it right now. But
gotcha.
yeah, it's like two beta episodes, but now we're working on having like guests, and really get us going. So, but yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay. Yeah, I need a link to that too. So I put that on here as well. If it's
Absolutely,
out there for public consumption, right? Again, it's one of those things like if you don't start, you'll never finish. I don't think
absolutely.
podcasts ever finish, right? I think I'm at like episode 500 now. Like I always lose
Yeah,
count.
man.
It just keeps going, right? But no, that's a great initiative, and I like that you're trying to inspire people, right? I think a lot of what we do just by being in the space is inspirational, whether you want to or not, right? It's like the Charles Barkley. I'm not a role model. Well,
Right, right.
if you're in this space doing what
Right.
we do, you automatically, if you show up to a convention or you go to a school, you are a role model. So you just have to spread the word in that regard. It's funny you brought that up now. I want to say later this week. Yeah, later this week I'll be going to my youngest to his school, third graders, right, to do like a 10-minute presentation on cybersecurity. Like, what do I do?
Nice.
And then what can I give the kids, right? So it's going to be internet safety, most likely, because I think that's a little bit easier to more palatable for that age group.
Right.
Um, and I'm hoping, to some inspire some kid, like, okay, I don't know what I want to be, but that seems kind of cool. I'll
Yeah.
put that on my list, right? And see what the future holds. But no, that's great. So uh, we talked about again the background, the inspiration, the experience, kind of what you do now. And obviously we'll have links so people can find you to ask you more of those questions. Again, yeah, your title, not only your skill and your experience, but yes, your title as well. I can see that definitely people hitting the connect button to reach
Oh
out
yeah.
to you. Like, hey, how do what inspires you to get there, and then how can I get there as well, right? But I think you having that diverse experience also uh, will speak well to a lot of people who are trying to break in right now. I went to a convention down in Tampa It was the Cyber Tampa X. I was invited to be on a panel. Greatly appreciate the team from Paragon, Computer Coach. I know I'm forgetting some of the sponsors that put it together, but great team, great people. But yeah,
Nice.
right after the panel, there's a line for different people had different pockets, so to speak, right? Like I'm this type of cyber professional, I'm that type of cyber professional. And then I had what I noticed on my side being people who look like us, who want to
Right.
break into it, as well as people who wanted to transition, right? Because I talked a little bit about my military transition and now what I do. So you have people who are like, how do I, get there? And it's good to see that and for people to feel comfortable to come up and ask those questions.
Right.
So I know your podcast is going to take off. People are going to love it. And then you have a
Thank you.
great podcast voice. So
Oh,
right. So
thanks.
you're good on
Thank you.
that front as well, right? So you
Thank you.
should be good to go. Will it be in video as well, or will it all be audio?
Yep. No, I'm telling you, man, I'm very intentional. I'm putting my face out
Okay.
there.
There it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Yeah, you'd be surprised what a thumbnail change would do for you, man. Like
Yeah.
so a little bit behind I guess insider, right? Because you're a fellow podcaster. Uh People's faces, if they see your face, they're more likely to click on it. I didn't learn
Mm,
that for almost 300 episodes. So
right.
because I was being stubborn. I was like, I don't want to put my face on it. Like they'll click the thing because the article seems interesting, and then they'll get to me. As soon as I made the switch, it tripled clicks
Made a
just
difference.
by putting your face on it. Like
Yeah.
it's great. It's ridiculous.
I believe it. I mean, for me, I'm a big podcaster, and I think that's why I'm so excited to actually do this, to be a creator, a podcast creator, because I'm always have my headphones in my ears, like if I'm going on a walk or I'm at the gym, you know, headphones in my ears. So, um, I think that's part of that psychology,
Yeah.
um, that kind of introduces itself there too, because especially as it pertains to cyber, sometimes I do want to see the black content creators, and maybe just different, not even just cyber, like any genre of sports, or, whatever the case is.
Right.
A lot of times I will try to lean and see where the black creators are, and I'll look for them. If I see, like I said, if I see that face, yeah, I'm more likely to click and give it a listen. So no, yeah, definitely, man. Keep showing your face.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny that you bring that up. So I don't know if you've looked into Black Speakers Network. So the Black Speakers
No.
Network, I went on there in the past. I'm trying to look up the information real quick to make sure I don't speak out of pocket. So Black Speakers Network, and I believe his name is Brian, the uh the guy who's in charge of it. But you go on there, and then basically you being a content creator with a podcast, you're able to then advertise to people who want to be on podcasts, right? So professionals who are people of color who are either they're trying to be public speakers, or they're already authors and they're trying to share their products, or it's a multitude of things. So his name is Brian J. Olds. He's out of Baltimore, Maryland,
Okay.
and basically he puts a spotlight on you in a like a Zoom like session. You speak your piece, like this is what my podcast is for. This is when we publish. This is the type of content, the type of people I'm looking to have on my podcast, and then basically broadcast it out to people who are looking to be on podcasts. Again, people of color are really the target audience, and then you make connections from there. So I think that would bode well for you as well if you're looking for people to be on the podcast. And he does it like once a month, I want to say, or so often. And I have not gone back yet because I was in the middle of transition the first time I
Yeah.
was on there. But I want to get back in there because I was able to have somebody on the show talk about his book, talk about his
Nice.
background as well. So it doesn't have to necessarily be cyber, but obviously
Yeah.
that's the focus of my podcast, right? But this person was really good at the hiring process, the transitioning process. So I was like, I think that would be great to have you on the podcast as well, because there's a lot of people who are just trying to figure out like how do I make it past the ATS system, right? Like
Right.
I'm in the process of getting the certs, or I have the education, or I have a little bit of experience, but I can't get to a person to have an interview. So I think a lot of good information came out there. But again, I, I I don't believe, like, I know a lot of people of color who are in HR space, but I don't see a lot of them on platforms kind of discussing like what it takes to get to a person, because once you get there, right, you can speak your piece, as opposed to shouting at a robot who may or
r-
may not, screen you just because of some keywords are missing. So,
right,
but
exactly.
yeah, I would say definitely check that out if that's what you're kind of interested in as well. And that goes for anybody who's currently listening, right? So I know there's a lot of content creators. Being humble, right? There's at least two or three content creators that are listening. Hopefully more. I'm not just talking to a vacuum, but yeah, check it out. I think Brian does a really good job, and it's the synergy, right? Like you might find somebody who also has a platform, and then you guys can
Right.
cross over. So again, that's the reason for the network, the reason that we're reaching out to each other to do these type of things is to build that synergy and to kind of strengthen all of our platforms. So I think it's a great initiative. I think you have a lot of great stuff happening, and I want to advertise all of it. So
I
definitely give me all
appreciate
those
it.
links. I'll put it on there, right? Because we're only going to get stronger if we work together. And
Right.
I see nothing but positivity coming out of LinkedIn, and even Twitter or whatever it's called now, X, so to speak.
X
So the Black
Z
Tech Pipeline, yeah.
H.
Like they have a lot of great stuff happening as well. Blacks in cybersecurity. I add
Yes.
them on all my stuff as well.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of different organizations, WESIS, that
Yeah.
can only they have their own pockets, right? They have their own focal points who they're looking to speak to, but that doesn't deter us from contacting them and trying to get the synergy going, because the rising tide floats all ships, or however the saying goes.
Yeah. Yeah. You were right.
There it is.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. So uh, what I like to do near the end of the podcast is to kind of strip away a little bit of the career stuff, right? Because we're all people at the end of the day. Like this is
Right.
our passion, is what we look to do, right? Even on my off time, I'm doing cybersecurity stuff. Stop it.
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what else are you doing, right? So what do you do to unwind, right? Like movies, books, games, all that stuff that we talk about on Fridays on our show. It's not cyber related. Like, what do you do to relax?
Yeah, man. I'm glad you asked that. I'm a big Marvel head. I love Marvel movies.
There it
I
is. You know what the follow up is going to be. Like, speak your piece. You already know the follow up.
yeah. Yeah. I just watched the last episode of Loki
Okay.
last night, and that was good. Um, yeah, those who haven't watched it yet, well, I won't say anything. I don't want to spoil it, but
Right, right. But I really liked it. Like
yeah,
me and
I
Shannon
yeah,
are opposite on it though. Like you'll hear on this upcoming week's show. He didn't hate it, but
yeah.
it wasn't a tearjerker for him.
Well, what? I mean, it made you you were balling or
No, I lost my tear ducts in the war, but if I had them, I would have felt some kind of way because that's a lot of time we spent with the character, right? Like out of all
yeah,
of the MCU characters, like Loki has made it to 14 years, I want to say.
yeah. I it's crazy because when you put it in perspective, because they said I was reading an article and yeah, when Loki first started, well, Tom Hiddleston when he started the character Loki, he
Yeah,
was like 29.
that's
Like
crazy.
now,
Yeah,
yeah, and like now he's like 40 something. So I'm like, yo, I can't believe it was that long.
yeah,
But he's like probably one of the last uh from the original because we did lose some characters along the way, but
yeah.
uh because I don't even know if Thor or Chris Hemsworth is gonna could do another Thor or not.
Right.
But
I think you will. But yeah, he had that health concern shock, right? That kind of
yeah,
made him
that's-
slow down. But he still did the extraction too. So I'm like, yeah, you come back, do
yeah, and
this.
and distraction too is definitely more. He's getting beat up a lot in that.
Right.
Um, but no, yeah, yeah, he is one of the few. I'll put Samuel L. Jackson as doing
Oh yeah.
Nick Fury, but yeah, it is almost like bittersweet because you are starting to see the end of that era, I guess,
Right.
that
Yeah. I guess like
who
first
who
class,
who
right?
started, yeah, who
Yeah.
really got it going. Um, So as you know, these characters that they're human, they're still human like us, man. They do age and want to move on to other projects too. Sometimes it's just simple as that too. I mean, they don't want to stay too long in a role and not,
Right.
go for other roles. But no, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I am interested as to see what the next phase of Marvel is gonna be. Um, but yeah, I do, yeah. So with that, yeah, I do like Marvel movies, shows, books. What when it's not a Net Plus or CISP, or I'm not when
Right.
I'm not reading a cyber book, I do like to do some leisure reading. I'm currently reading a Stephen A. Smith's book, Straight Shooter, which is
Okay.
very good, by the way. Um, Another book I'm reading, oh, Dr. Eric Thomas's book, UOU. That's a good
Okay.
book. He honestly, yeah. When I was studying for my doctorate, he was like my virtual coach, man. Because I would watch his videos on YouTube, his motivational videos, listen to his, you know, listen to him on Spotify. He didn't necessarily have a podcast, but he had it. He had the recordings on, that you could consume on
Right.
Spotify and other platforms. But I even put him as a mention in my dissertation because he made that much of an impact for me. Because I mean, there were times, man, like I would sit in a corner and ball up and cry because I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna finish this thing. But definitely went through a lot of highs and lows throughout the doctorate process, and I was just listening to his motivation. Like I said, his motivational videos was really helped me. So, but yeah, I'm reading his book, a couple of others. I mean, I have. I know a lot of people or maybe a lot of guys will have like the man cave. For me, my favorite part of the house is the bookshelf.
Okay.
So I love my books. I barely even play. I barely even play video games. I used to love video games, and not that I hate them now. I think it's just prioritize the time, and for me, it's just hard for me to get involved with
Right.
uh with the games. I mean, unless like like when my sons play, then I probably play a little more. But outside of that, it doesn't get turned on. but but
Right. No, no, I hear that. Like, so that may come back. Like, I don't know how passionate you were before, because
Mm.
you've been studying and doing school and all that other stuff,
Right,
important stuff for a while now. It took me a few years. Like, I stopped at my master's, right? CISP, PMP, all that good stuff. But from that entire process, I kind of lost the passion for games because, like you said, they're time consuming, right? I don't have 20, 30 hours to put
right.
into this hobby because I feel bad. Anytime I pick up the controller, I'm like, I could be studying. I could have the CISP book open or
That's
something, such to
exactly
that.
how
So
I feel. Yeah.
just now, I'm starting to get back into them. It's been years. I
What
finally,
what what are you playing?
Spider-Man 2, I just finished it. It's,
Oh, wait. All right. The platform. That's the question. What platform you on?
oh, so I got them all, man. But right now, I'm focused on PS5. So I'm playing
Oh,
Spider-Man
okay.
2. Yeah, on the
That makes a
PS5.
difference.
But I like so right now I'm in the office, which I still have to get soundproof. That's why I got the headphones on instead of my mic because it's super echoey in here. But the PC's right here, right? It's good enough to play pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Just not on the highest of settings, right? I'm not crazy. I'm not buying $1,800 video card. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
But then the TV's over here with the Xbox, the Switch, the VR headset that no one plays with.
Oh
I was
man.
so happy that we got it for Christmas. From my wife won it at a holiday party because if I had bought that, I'd been real mad right now
Oh
because they
yeah.
spend like maybe an hour a month playing with it.
Yeah.
But then the PS5 is in the living room right now because I'm playing Spider-Man, so it'll get switched out once I get done with that. But
Nice.
uh, I had all these things and I didn't play them for years, and it's because I did feel guilty, right? If I picked up something that wasn't study material, I'd
Mhm.
feel bad, right? Because then it's like, well, I have to give up something. Either I'm giving up more time with my family to play these games, or I'm giving up more study material. And I'm hungry. I need to consume as much of this as possible, right?
Right.
But just now, I would say the end of this year, so it's been like 3 or 4 years, 5 years. It's been 5 years, yeah. I finally started to like, okay, I want to sit down and give myself an hour of, turning my brain off. I'm Spider-Man for the next hour. So it may
Right.
come back. It may come back, but I don't know. Like you're school took many more years than what I did. So it might take a little bit further down the future for you.
I yeah, I think I'd be just like maybe just a more casual gamer. Like I'm not. I don't know. I don't think I'll be back to like like I said, play all night. I definitely can't do that.
Right,
Definitely
right.
that's gone.
And we're old too. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I was like that you could count me out for that. But yeah, I maybe just like a little casual, or if like if there's people over, or some sort of like group setting maybe. Um
gotcha.
but at the same time, I don't feel like I'm missing anything either. Like I'm
Yeah,
okay.
that's very true. Yeah, you get a different perspective, right? Especially when
Yeah.
you have a passion and a pursuit. Some things just fall off, fall to the wayside. Um, so got to go back to Marvel real quick. So you watched Loki too. Again, we didn't give anything away. I don't know. I meant to say no spoilers, but we didn't spoil anything, right? We
Right.
didn't say the fate of Loki or what have you. Just saying that the season two is over, which everyone should know because this was the season two finale.
Right.
Um, have you watched the Marvels and do you plan on watching it in theaters?
I have not watched the Marvels yet, but I do plan to
Okay.
see it. I
Because
mean,
I saw it, I saw it
I have
yesterday.
to. You
Yeah.
saw it?
I saw it
Uh,
yesterday.
what you thought?
I thought it was good. Again, like so now because continuity is off between the episodes with me and Shannon and now this podcast. So you'll hear this after that. But you're
Yeah.
not, you're hearing this before you hear me and Shannon's discussion. I think Marvel is in a place where they were just too good too fast. Like, well, not it wasn't even fast. Like, just that decade of Marvel movies is hard to compete now. So, like, the Marvels was good. I had no passion or drive to go see it, and I feel that way about a lot of the bigger movies. I can just wait till they come home. Not
Mhm.
because not because I dislike Marvel. It's just like you built up for 10 years to get to this point where the snap happens and all other crazy stuff, and now you have to. It's going to be another decade to get to wherever they're going from here on out. And I just don't have as much passion to be in a room full of people to see it when it's going to come home.
I I I believe I think where I think Marvel is starting to lose a bit of its steam is their their big players are gone,
Right.
or going away. Like, but I mean, if you remember when they first had the first Avengers movie, like putting them all on the big screen,
Yeah.
Hulk, Black Widow, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, like all of them together, Hawkeye. I mean, that was a big deal then.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, of course, as time going on with the storyline, and of course we did lose Chadwick, rest in peace. Um, we did have big characters. We lost big characters that made up the pillars, I'd say, of Marvel.
Yeah.
So when they we started losing them, and then you're trying to replace it with these characters you're not really all that familiar with, or maybe you didn't really care for. It. Like,
Right.
maybe I'll see it, or maybe
Yeah.
I'll just wait for it to come out.
And like I was telling Shannon, I think we're a little spoiled too. Like we asked for this, right? We asked for like the Disney Plus series
Hmm.
costs almost as much as a movie to make. Like it's not low budget. It's not like the CW doing the Arrowverse or something like that, right? Where it's just like this is good enough for TV. Like
Right.
these characters leaping right off of the small screen to the big screen with no huge transition. Like I don't know if you saw when you were a kid, but like the Power Rangers TV show to the Power Rangers movie,
Yeah.
there's a huge
Oh,
delta between those two things.
yeah.
That's not the same gulf between the TV shows that Disney Plus is making and their movies,
They,
but it's just not. I don't know. It's
they
I don't want to say it's fatigue, but it's just like I don't care as much as I did 10 years ago.
I think they're gonna kind of fall into the trap that DC fell into. Where like with DC movies, um, where it's starting to lose that continuity,
Right.
and I think Marvel is starting to get that way. And even some of the shows, like um some of them just honestly just weren't that great. Uh, And like the Hawkeye series was, it
Right. I
was
liked Hawkeye.
okay.
I did like Hawkeye, but I didn't like Moon Knight, which is crazy to me. I thought it'd be
Really?
the opposite because
No,
Moon
I
Knight didn't
love
do it for
Moon
me.
Knight.
It was okay. It's just it felt like I don't know, like that could have been just an origin movie as opposed to the show. It felt like they drug it out. It just
Uh,
felt like they just kept pulling it for too long. Like the Oscar Isaacs is an awesome actor,
yeah, he
act
is.
his butt
Yeah.
off. Um, but I don't know. I just didn't fall in love with the character like I thought I would.
Wow.
I think he should have been a movie, and I think that the slow burn with Loki that is definitely a good TV series, right? I don't
Right.
think that should be a movie. I think that should be 12 episodes, season 1 to season 2.
Right.
Like slow burn, like build up all the stuff behind the scenes. But Moon Knight, we could do that in an hour and a half. That would have been a-okay.
Wow. Yeah.
But unpopular opinion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man.
But we'll see what the future holds, though. Like again, like I think there's still hope. Like if you watch the Marvels, whenever you do watch it, it's definitely an 8, and nothing's wrong with the 8. It's just that we're so used to all these tens. It's like,
Yeah.
well, anything less than a 10 is just not good. Like, no, this is like if we were when we were kids, like we would have
Mm.
killed for a Marvels
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Kidding me?
Yeah. But now you spent 10 years watching, crazy Iron Man and Thanos and all the big battles, and now we're just like, meh,
Yeah.
give me something new.
Yeah. And it's gonna be tough. I think that puts a lot of pressure on the new, generation characters from Marvel because
Yeah.
they're gonna try to meet that very high standard. 'Cause I heard stuff they try to bring back Iron Man. Like, yo, Iron Man died. What are you talking about?
Right.
Th-
Well, I
Come
mean,
on.
like death doesn't really mean much in the comics, right? Like
Yeah.
it
When
won't
you
be
got
it
them,
won't be Iron Man, but it'll be
right?
an Iron Man.
Because because when they started the multiverse stuff, yeah, they're gonna start recycling people now.
Yeah, I think so. But again, like for anybody who's like I didn't want to see the Marvels just because I was like, man, it's gonna be a 6 or a 7. I can wait. I watched it and I was like, that was a good time. Like
Mhm.
um I appreciate the level of continuity, level of energy that they're putting into these things. So I feel like I have to support. And I don't believe we're going to keep getting 8s. I think they're going to start slowing down because they want everything to be a 10. So it's unfortunate. But like next year, you see, it's only going to be a Deadpool movie. Like usually, it's either 2 or 3 Marvel movies. There's only going to be one next year, and then all the
Yeah.
2025 stuff is starting to move around. So I think they're going to start to kind of slow some of these projects down and retool them because they want 10s all the time, um, which is a
And
good thing. But I feel bad because I feel like I'm the problem. Like I'm causing this to be the problem.
right. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it's just a way, like I said, I'm just very interested to see like what they do and try to reinvigorate or kind of restart the get things going again for Marvel because, like I said, it is a very high standard with the big characters that were lost.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be hard to replace them.
No, yeah, that is very true. So we'll see what the future holds, though. Like I'm still gonna support. I just again, like especially after COVID, I just don't go to the theater unless it's like I know it's gonna be a blockbuster.
Yeah.
But then the opportunity popped up, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll take Junior to go see it. It wasn't bad. So anybody who's
Right.
trying to hold out, it's definitely not a bad movie. It's an 8, which is pretty good actually. Okay, and then my last question for you, because I don't want to hold you all night. So you're from Mount Vernon, New York. So do you
So
have it? You have an NFL team?
NFL team, yeah.
Yeah. So
I,
because I'm from Buffalo,
I'm
New York.
oh
So
Buffalo. I'm almost embarrassed to say, but especially the way we played last night. But it's the Giants, New York Giants.
gotcha. Okay. So I'm not going to take any cheap shots at you. I I don't know what has happened to the Cowboys recently. Like my best friend, he's also from Buffalo. He's a Cowboys
uh,
fan. Been a Cowboys fan his entire life. Like
right,
from the time I can remember him, he had the starter jacket with the Cowboys star on it. I'm just like, we're from Buffalo. What are you doing?
right.
But yeah, big fan. I don't know what's happening, but Dak Prescott shouldn't. He looked elite last night. I didn't like it.
But
I didn't like it.
but
I
that's
don't, but I don't think it was y'all fault. I don't. I really don't. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happening with him. Like the Bills are falling off, the Cowboys are for some reason taking off. I don't understand the season.
Wait, but you see, it's wh- whenever Cowboys play a real top tier team,
They
Dak
get
is
taken
kind of
apart.
folding. Yeah,
What was that? Philly when they played Philly?
yeah. Philly, I think the Niners too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, when they're playing like top tier teams or teams that can match them better, they don't play that great. Um,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, but they play a team like my Giants, they drop 40, 50 points on us. So,
But
but
it's been a weird
it's like
season.
practice. It's like practice to them.
It's been a real weird season because like we lost to the Jets, yeah, out the gate, right? Like Aaron Rodgers had
Yo,
four
yeah,
snaps, and then we
yeah,
got the beat down. I'm just like, what happened? Like,
right.
what is going on this season? It's just
That
been
was
weird the entire
that was a
season.
crazy game. Like a
Yeah,
lot of stuff happened in that game.
yeah, it's
But
been pretty wild. So I won't get you for that one.
yeah.
Like you guys are in the process of building. Like the Bills need to do something. Like we need to. Somebody's got to get let go next year.
Well, you guys play tonight,
We do.
actually.
We play the Broncos shortly, so
Yeah,
I can't. I'm excited. But man, listen, it. I feel confident, but I felt confident the past couple games, and we
right.
we've been all over the place. But I say all that to say, let's see what happens. But yeah, it's always interesting when I talk to people from New York, like depending on which side of New York you're on, right? Western New York, obviously we rep the Bills. But
Yeah,
then as you get closer to the city, you got Jets versus Giants, all that good stuff. So
right, right.
got you. But no, it's definitely been a pleasure speaking to you. I greatly appreciate you reaching out to make this connection. Hopefully we get to do this again.
Absolutely,
Um,
man.
again, I'm looking forward to all of your projects, right? I can't wait to hear your podcast. We'll definitely share it with our audience as well. I can't wait to,
We need to do like a Marvel-esque like crossover, like your
crossover.
team, me and our friends, so we all, just a joint, one big joint podcast.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be down for it.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, you let me know. We'll work it out. I'm on East Coast, right? I think
yeah,
yeah, you're on East
yeah.
Coast
I'm
as
on East
well.
Coast. Yeah,
It's just Shannon out there in
yeah,
Colorado's uh what is that? Is that mountain time? Is that
yeah.
central
That's Mountain
time? It's
Time.
mountain time, right?
Mountain Time.
So out
Colorado
there. Yeah, and then
up
Levon's even
there.
further, like Levon's West Coast. So
Wow.
he's on that
Yeah,
that Pacific time. Like
yeah.
they
Ooh.
mess everything up. They mess up the Super Bowl, they mess up the championship, right? Like they mess everything up. Can't mess with them
Man.
people. Well, no, again, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to share all the links with the audience. I look forward to seeing what the future holds, and I would love to do the collabo. But regardless, definitely have to have you back on here just to
Absolutely.
see where you're at, what you're doing, and then any new initiatives you may have. Because I feel as though you're going to have a few more, right? Like your
Yeah.
50-meter targets are pretty good. So I can't wait to see the progression and see where you go from there.
Thank
So.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all those listening in, please tune in to all the links I'm going to share from Dr. Joseph J. Burt-Miller Jr. And all of the projects that he's currently doing. Then definitely hit us up. I always forget to say at the beginning and the middle. So hopefully you stay to the end. Please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit a button. If there's a button or a bell involved in the platform of choice. Definitely share us with your nerdy friends, right? We're trying to grow. If you're into marketing or something like that, and you have anything you want to talk to me about, perhaps we can do that as well. I'm looking for people who can share with our audience things that help us to break into cyber, to grow into cyber, to upskill, and a hand up. I'm not trying to advertise foot deodorant and boxers, right? This is not what the platform is here for. So miss me with that, please.
Yeah.
But then definitely reach out if you're here to support people of color trying to break into cybersecurity. Um, Hit us up with the platforms that all go by our name, or you can hit me up personally. I'm at Ry Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads. Stay safe, stay secure.